Hello, I'm Dr. Nathan Swain of Dark Encounters Investigated. Not long after the DEI team was launched, we were flooded with telephone calls, letters, and emails concerning inexplicable events from all over the country. One of the most interesting stories came from Dickson County, Tennessee. On arriving here, the DEI team discovered that this particular story of the strange was very well known in this rural community. It is truly a tale of the dark side. A tale that rode into this area on a train during a cold winter's night, and some say has refused to leave.
Somewhere out there are worlds other than ours. Worlds of the paranormal and supernatural, where the laws of flesh and blood do not apply. There are times when the thin barrier separating that world from ours is shattered by events and entities too powerful to be contained. And when that happens, a team of paranormal investigators look for answers to those strange and mysterious dark encounters.
Montgomery Bell Park. It's a picturesque Tennessee state park on Highway 70 in Dickson County. Our story brings us to an area of the park that maps and signs refer to as Hall Springs. But local area residents know it by a much more haunting name, Werewolf Springs.
To understand this story, you've got to go back in time. You've got to go back to the Civil War. At that time, there was a railroad track that ran through Dickson County. It ran east and west, and of course there still is. It moved a lot of war material, moved it for the south, and it moved some for the north after they'd captured it. And after the war, the track was in pretty rough shape. They still continued to try to move trains down it, but it was not in the best of condition. The story goes in the late 1860s, a circus train came through here and it derailed. It derailed behind where the park is now. This train, of course, being a circus train, it contained a number of animals, and some of them escaped. All of them were recaptured, but two. And the circus manifest listed these two animals as the wild man of Borneo. Supposedly, this was a wolf-type creature that walked upright. It had the cunning of a wolf. It had the strength of a man. The description sounded a whole lot like a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. Well, the train was put back on the track. The other animals had been recaptured. They made an effort to capture these things, and they couldn't find them, and so the circus train departed. It was not long after that that things began to happen that had never happened before. Animals would turn up missing. Animals would turn up dead, half-eaten. This got people's attention.
As the story goes, the train left, but something remained behind. Soon after, farm animals began to disappear or were discovered half-eaten. Then, the legend of Werewolf Springs took a deadly turn.
Up until about 2 years after the derailment, there had never been an attack on a human being. But unfortunately, that changed. One of the local landowners was building a house, and he was building it in this direction about 10 miles. And he had ordered a set of doors, and they were delivered by rail to Burns Station, which is now Burns, Tennessee. And they picked up the doors late in the afternoon. This landowner and one of his hired hands came to get them in a mule pull wagon. And they were taking the doors back to the building site, and they were going down the old country road that has now become Highway 47. And as they traveled down the road, they became aware that something was behind them. It was pacing them. They were somewhat nervous about that. They whipped up the mules a little bit, went a little faster. This thing would speed up with them. And they went a little faster and a little faster, and pretty soon they're going about as fast as they can go. And this thing is still back there. And they heard its hand grab the back of the wagon, just slap the back of the wagon and start to get on. Well, they ran. The landowner went this way and the hired hand went this way. Well, it went after the hired hand. The landowner lived, and he later said that he heard his hired hand screaming, "No, no, please, no," and just a blood-curdling scream and nothing. Then he heard the thing coming toward him. He ran through the woods. He happened to find a log that he could get under, a hollowed place under it, and he hid under there, and this thing walked right past him, but apparently was not aware that he was there. He was paralyzed by fright. He stayed there till morning. In fact, he stayed all into the morning, and he finally was able to get out and get back to town and tell this story, and it was met with some skepticism at first. Well, they went back out to try to find the wagon and the mules and the hired hand. They found the wagon in a ravine, but the strange thing was, between the road and the ravine, there were no drag marks. It appeared the thing physically picked the wagon up and threw it into the ravine. The mules were found rather unpleasantly dead and mutilated, and they never found the body of the hired hand. They found some blood, but that's all they ever found. Now people were more than concerned, people were scared.
Over the years, there's been a great deal of speculation as to what attacked a local man and his friend. A werewolf? Some bizarre combination of man and beast from a primitive land? Or a creature that's come to be called Bigfoot or Sasquatch?
Well, this is a very exciting find for the DEI team because we have stumbled across a creature that has both werewolf and Sasquatch tendencies. I like the fact that these two things are combined, which makes this a creature unique to Dickson County. Its Sasquatch capabilities are the fact that it seems to think very clearly. It seems to plot what it wants to do. And it seems to have a motivation. Its werewolf tendencies are the fact that it is strictly nocturnal and it is carnivorous. It's a flesh eater, and it seems to be driven by its appetites. So those two things put together make this definitely a creature unique to this area and bears further investigation.
Well, people got together and decided something had to be done. And they got a group of men together, and they came out with rifles, and they came out with a goat as bait. And they found a trail, and they found a clearing in this trail. It was obvious something had been feeding in this clearing, some kind of carnivorous creature. They decided to set up there and see if they could kill it. They tied the goat in the center of the clearing, and they set up stations around this clearing with interlocking fields of fire. After about 4 hours, they could hear something coming down the trail. It was full moon, but they couldn't see real good. They could see something walking upright, something quite large. It headed for the goat, and the goat goes nuts. And when the leader thinks it's about in the center of the clearing, he yells, "Ah!" He said, "Turn your lanterns up." They turned their lanterns up. The creature is gone. The goat is gone. And one lantern didn't come up. Well, they went across the clearing to check on these two guys, and they're both dead.
It was another deadly chapter in the frightening legend of Werewolf Springs. But as Sam Brown tells us, even stranger things were about to happen.
After this episode, people were very concerned. People began to move out. You find a lot of abandoned farms around here. They had community meetings, and they knew they had to do something. Somebody suggested calling in a professional hunter. And they did. They called in a fellow that had experience with big game, and he was a proud sort of fella, and he wasn't scared of anything he said. And they described what had happened and what they thought it was, and he said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is you want it killed, I'll kill it." And they paid him, and he went out and he set up in a cabin. He set up there. He stayed the first night, nothing happened. Stayed the second night, nothing happened. The third night, he had stayed most of the night, and he heard something outside the cabin. It was a full moon again. And he looked out the front window of the cabin, and he could see something again moving just beyond the shadows of where his light went, which was fine with him. He had planned for this. And he took his rifle, which was an extremely large rifle, about as big as you could hand fire at the time. He sighted out the window of the cabin, and he shot at it. Well, it growled, it screamed real loud, but it didn't fall down. And it ran at the cabin, and it ran to the door and began to beat on the door and shake on the door and try to get in. Well, he had planned for this. He crawled up in the rafters of the cabin. He still had his rifle, he had a pistol. It didn't take the creature long, it broke in. It looked around, spied him up in the rafters, and began to try to claw the rafters down and claw the support beams down to get to him. And he did exactly what he'd planned to do. He aimed his rifle down and he fired at the thing. It would growl, it would stagger back a little bit like this, and then it would start trying to get to him again. And he used all of his rifle ammo firing at this thing, and it would scream, but it wouldn't fall. Well, he threw his rifle aside and he picked up his pistol. He had 6 shots in his pistol and he fired 4 of them, again having very little effect. And he had 2 bullets left, and he said he had determined that if he fell out of the rafters, that he would stand up and he would fire 1 shot into this thing's face. And he said, if that doesn't drop him, the last bullet's for me. I'll die by my own hand rather than let that thing kill me. And about that time, the sun began to come up, and apparently this thing doesn't like light, and it ran off, and he lived to tell his story. But you've never seen a more scared man in your life. He gave the money back and he left. He wanted no part of this thing anymore.
While supernatural stories from the past deserve serious consideration, the DEI team gets involved when events bring these stories into the present. And with the story told by Dickson County resident Buddy Tidwell, the legend of Werewolf Springs was brought closer to our own time.
My friends and I had come out to this field. We'd been out here many times. We'd heard about the sightings. People had seen this unusual thing at quite a distance, and we'd been out in this field to look for it, and we knew that there were 12 cows that normally were in this field. Well, this particular night it was dark. At periods of time the clouds would be over the full moon, and other periods of time you could see well. And we came in this field, came down the hill toward those trees right there, and we counted, as we walked down, 12 sets of eyes, green eyes belonging to the cows. And then we shined our flashlight over there and saw a 13th set of eyes, and those eyes were red. And as we walked toward that 13th set of eyes, the clouds came out from over the moon, and we could see the thing crouched down near those trees. And it yelled from the lowest guttural yell to the highest pitched blood-curdling scream you can imagine. And of course the hair on our body just stood up, and we ran back up toward the vehicle up the hill there, and we shined the flashlights. As we got about halfway there, we shined back looking to see if the thing was following us, and we couldn't see it. And all of a sudden, off to our left at those cedar trees there, we saw the thing. The moon came out again, and the thing yelled and walked between those 2 largest cedar trees, and then it began to come toward us in such a way that we thought it was going to wind up between us and the car. So we took off running, and you could feel the thing as its feet hit the ground behind you. It was enormous. Its arms were as big as my legs, and it was totally covered with hair from top to bottom. We went over the gate and got to the car and opened the car doors and turned around to look to see the thing at the gate. It yelled again and crashed the top of the gate with its huge arm, and then it came over the gate toward us, and we took off. Well, the next day we came back in the daylight, and we saw the evidence there at the gate where the thing had smashed the gate. That big steel channel gate had a dip in it where it had hit it with its arm, and we never saw the creature again.
I'm intrigued by the timelessness of this creature. I like the fact that it exists throughout Dickson's history. That to me is a hallmark of paranormal activity, because every sighting that's been recorded is of one single creature. So that tells me that this thing knows this area, is comfortable with this area, and that this is its territory, as if it's protecting its territory. We also have to bear in mind that even though it is indeed interesting, it is still extremely dangerous. It is bloodthirsty, it is seemingly indestructible, and it is definitely dangerously unpredictable.
I personally don't believe there's a werewolf in the area, but when the train goes through Burns and blows its whistle, you can hear some sort of animal howling. What that is, I don't know, but it is rather unusual.
Did these things really happen? Well, you hear the stories enough, they probably did. Is the thing still here? I don't know. That's really not for me to say, but I'd like to find out. If your team could help us, it'd be good.
It was a request the DEI team could not refuse. The DEI team quickly took action. The next full moon was only a few nights away, and if we were dealing with a werewolf, that was the most likely time for it to strike. So we set up a surveillance perimeter in an isolated area of the park.
Okay, over here we're putting up our special microphones. They're very sensitive. They'll pick up as much as a pin drops anywhere in this area. And over here we have our new lipstick camera. It's specially equipped with night vision and motion sensitive cells.
What we're doing now is spreading some animal blood around the perimeter of the van around this area. We're going to trail it north, south, east, and west, so whatever follows the blood will come up here to this area. Of course, we may get a lot of nocturnal animals coming around sniffing and smelling the blood, but the thing is we're after bigger game. But this stuff's just the appetizer. The main course, of course, is right over there.
In the immediate area of the van, we placed several strips of raw meat. These were securely bound to the tree so they could not easily be pulled away. A special night vision camera was set up nearby. It's now 9:13 p.m. It's completely dark and a full moon is rising. As we've been told, strange howls are often heard as the 1015 train leaves the station and passes through Burns, Tennessee. In order to stay out of sight, the DEI investigative team will stay here in the van. We'll remain here, wait till the train comes through, and then see what happens. It's now 10:15 p.m. If the train left the station on time, then any second now we should hear the whistle and some strange noises that have been described.
Oh, got it, listen.
It's now almost midnight. So far, since the whistle and the sounds, the howls that we heard, there's been little to concern us. We did have a couple of minor readings on the audio equipment, but we determined that those were probably just small rodents.
Whoa, wait, Nathan, wait a minute.
What do you got?
Got a hit on the EFM, got a big one. Went up to a 15, Don't see that often.
15, okay.
Yeah.
This could be something.
It
Make
feels
sure
real.
you're recording. Look
Feels
at
real.
that, look at that.
It went up, it fluctuated.
All right, keep
up and down real
verifying.
fast, up and down real fast.
Everybody sharpen up, this could be
had
it.
a hit, like something passed through the field.
Okay. What you got now?
It just dropped back down to -1. I mean, as
All right.
quickly as it went up, boom, up and down.
Well, you hit something out there,
Yeah,
maybe.
something happened.
Something big.
All right, everything looks good here. Yep. You know, everything checks out down here. I don't know what's... Whoa. Whoa. Huh. Oh, well. Yeah, I'll tell you what, once you head on back to the van, I'll finish up here. I think it's okay. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Just tell them what's happening. Head on back. I'll be back.
Thanks, Roland.
It's now 2:41 a.m. It's been almost 3 hours since we've had any kind of activity, audio or video. We're just trying to decide how to proceed.
Hey, everything checks out. It's fine.
The bait's still there?
Everything's there. Not touched.
Well, I say we call it a night.
Guys, we may just have to try some random nights.
I'm all for that. You got my vote.
Okay, guys, let's just give it a little bit more time. We never know what we could come on to tonight.
Well, whoa, did you hear that?
What was that?
What was that? You got some weird readings here.
You got something?
You know,
You got anything on the EFM?
I'm not getting much of anything at all. I mean, just very minor or nothing.
Dex, go check it out.
Okay.
Wait. No, wait, Dex, don't do that.
What do you got?
I got something now.
Get in here.
Yeah, get in here. It just hit, just like it did a little while ago. Just hit, boom, all of a sudden.
I'm not seeing anything on the cameras, guys.
What are you reading right now?
I don't know what you're seeing or not seeing, but I'm telling you, I'm getting something here. I got a 12 right now. I got
A 12 right now?
Yeah, and it just jumped up to a 15 like
Look at that, look at
it did a few hours ago. Like it did a few hours ago. It jumped up, It's on.
15.
It's 17 now. It's
17.
at 17 now. It's stronger,
This thing is
and the pulses are coming faster. Stronger,
Okay,
and the pulses are coming
cool.
faster. 20. It's on the 20. It's on the 20. And it's off the scale.
Oh gosh. Everybody okay?
Jake.
Jake, you all right?
Yeah. Jake, listen.
Check your EFM. What do we got now?
Yeah, it's
Still close. What do we got?
Still up there. It's still up there. It's too much. It's too much. Is everybody okay?
Yeah, we're right.
What was that?
Get some light going here.
I don't think so.
Dex, are you all right?
Everything's down, man. All the equipment.
Jake.
Jake.
Can we get power back?
And I've got nothing.
Anybody see anything?
No. That's what's scary.
All right, everybody just
I don't want to see anything.
just stay cool. Let's just wait it out.
I'd say we don't wait it out. I'd say we crank this thing up and get out of here.
Stay cool, Jake.
We can't just drag the equipment off.
We decided to stay in the van until sunrise. No other attacks occurred that evening. The following day, we surveyed the area. The van had some heavy dents on its sides. Our equipment, for the most part, had been knocked down and some of it destroyed. As for the bait, it was gone, torn from the tree which itself was damaged.
That's a heck of a track.
Yeah, you can see where he had his hand on that branch over there. What we encountered at Werewolf Springs that night was more than just a legend. It attacked with the fierceness and hunger of an animal, but with a superhuman cunning that somehow managed to elude visual recording from our surveillance equipment. If we've proved anything, it's that something was, and still is, out there. I'm Dr. Nathan Swain of Dark Encounters Investigated. Remember, in the world of the paranormal and supernatural, knowledge is your best weapon. Stay informed.
What you're looking at here is camera 2. This is some unused footage for the show that it had no audio with it.
None of this footage appeared in the show?
Correct.
Yeah.
There's a brief shot of Mr. X. If
Right.
we showed you his face, or if it had his face on this tape, we'd have had to destroy it, but that's about as good as it gets for Mr. X.
Right. That's about all he wanted to be seen, I think. Briefly, you saw there around the well after they just uncapped it. This is in an adjoining room where the monitor was set up for the underwater camera, the camera that was dropped
That's it
into
right
the
there.
well. Right.
We had to set up in a different room for the viewing station because it was so cramped in the small room over the well. And it was cold.
Yes. Michelle Long, the clairvoyant, just kind of pacing, waiting for us to get things together.
The setup was extensive, and the suspense built, I think, as the night went. I think we all felt that.
Yes.
Our nerves were really on edge on this one.
Briefly, you can see that was cameraman Ben Bitterman behind the camera. He has his camera pointed at the monitor screen for the underwater camera.
Their sledge lowering in the camera itself, I believe, or at least doing a depth check. We did a lot of measuring before we could pull this off.
Dr. Swain, there's
Who's that?
That's you, that's JC. It looks pretty boring and meticulous, and I guess it is, but part of the point was we didn't want to lose the camera. We didn't want to drop it down in there and have it entangled in something. And there's the monitor they're working off of.
Hello, I'm JC Hewer, AV Data Analyst with the DEI team. My job is to help record and interpret audio and video data from our investigations. And the episode coming up gave me plenty of opportunity to do just that. The next DEI case you're about to see was one of our strangest. Not necessarily because of what we were investigating, but in the way that it began. One of our DEI viewers suggested to a friend of hers that she call us. This friend is a woman who claims to be clairvoyant, haunted by visions of things that happened in an old house. Were we looking for the remains of a body from an unsolved murder? A spirit roaming restlessly because of a tragic past? Or some of both? This investigation made full use of our nightscope camera, special underwater camera, and EVP recording devices. What did we find? See for yourself in the case of the Whispering Well.
As our investigation continued, Sam Brown took us to some of the sites where the legend of Werewolf Springs was born. Along the way, Sam led the DEI team to a discovery that was totally unexpected. In a clearing, we found numerous bones. Many appeared to have been there a while, others seemed more recent. To us, the area appeared to be a feeding ground, but Park Officer Jerry Easley had an explanation which some might find easier to believe.
The bones were there. It was a graveyard for mules. The farmers in the area that lived around here would drag their dead mules and horses over to that area and just leave them. It was a pretty isolated area.
As you can see, the bones are here, and our DEI lab has determined that these are definitely the remains of animals. But the question is, are they the remains of farm animals casually tossed here after they died? Or do they represent the feeding ground of a carnivorous creature? Now, there are teeth marks on these bones, but the question is, are these teeth marks made by wild animals or something more? While we cannot conclusively answer that question, there is one thing that is for sure. There is some truth behind the legend of Werewolf Springs. A startling story, and one that supposedly happened right here where I'm standing. This is what's left of the cabin where the hunter almost lost his life. The legend of Werewolf Springs is one that refuses to stay in the past where it is deeply rooted. Now, local resident Buddy Tidwell tells a story that brings this legend closer to our own time. Hello, I'm Dr. Nathan Swain, paranormal investigator for the Dark Encounters Investigated team. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's venture into the mysterious world of the supernatural. Since our first DEI case aired here on the Renaissance Channel, we have been flooded with calls, letters, and emails about bizarre legends and stories in this area. But one local legend stands out above them all, mentioned by viewers time and time again. It's the legend of Werewolf Springs.
Well, to really understand this, you've got to go back in time a long time. You've got to go back to the Civil War. Now, there was a railroad track through here at that time. Of course, there still is. And this track carried a lot of Civil War material. It carried it for the Confederate side, and it carried it for the North after they'd captured it. After the war, it was in pretty rough shape. They still tried to run trains down it, but it was not in the best of condition. And in the late 1860s, there was a circus train, legend goes, that came through here, and it derailed just behind where the park is now. It had a lot of animals in it, and several of these animals escaped. All of them were recaptured, but 2. And the records, the manifest of the train, listed these 2 animals, a male and a female, as wild men of Borneo. They said that this animal had the cunning of a wolf and had the strength of 3 or 4 individuals, 3 or 4 men. Never recaptured them. Well, they got the train back on the track, and it departed. And not long after that, things began to happen that had never happened before.
So what exactly was it that escaped from that circus train and ended up terrorizing your great-grandparents? A werewolf? Some abomination that was both an intelligent man and bloodthirsty beast? How could we know what we were dealing with?
Meaning that it moves very quickly, it is carnivorous, it is a flesh eater. I think that it makes it a very, very interesting entity indeed. Sasquatch are not carnivores, they're herbivores. So when people tell us that, yes, I think this is a Sasquatch, I tend to question that. I think that what we have here is a creature unique to Dickson County, and therefore it bears further investigation.
Whatever the creature of Werewolf Springs may turn out to be, our investigation has so far turned up one startling certainty. This legend refuses to stay in the distant past. People have encountered it face to face.
And we heard the thing scream. It screamed from the lowest sort of guttural sound up to a very high soprano type scream. And it stood up and it walked between those two cedar trees. And at that point, we could make out the silhouette of this creature walking between these two trees. Everybody's attention focused there as it disappeared sort of behind that second cedar tree. Heard yet another scream. We realized that it was going toward our vehicle, where we had left our vehicle, and between our vehicle and us was a large hill and a metal gate. And so we very quickly realized that we ought to make our way back toward the car. And as we headed toward that metal gate, we saw it again. It was crouched down near that cedar tree. It stood up and began to come towards us. And at that point in time, the clouds came out from the moon, and the moon was very bright, and you could see clearly.
On the next episode of Dark Encounters Investigated, the DEI team pulls out all the stops. We search for the truth behind this popular legend. Even as I speak, our cameras are going to the Werewolf Springs area, and plans are underway to stake out the hunting ground this seemingly eternal creature is said to inhabit. What we encounter is anyone's guess. If you have any information or have actually seen this or any other strange creature, please contact the DEI team at this phone number or this email address. We look forward to hearing from you. I'm Dr. Nathan Swain. Please join us for the next Dark Encounters Investigated here on Channel 19, the Renaissance Channel.
Hello, I'm Jake Manley, EMF data analyst with the Dark Encounters Investigative team. You've just seen our journey into the world of vampirism. But vampires are not alone in being one of the favorite subjects of Hollywood horror movies. The werewolf is also an ancient legend that thrived in European folklore. As a member of the DEI team, knowledge of legends and folklore is a must. It's popularly known that a werewolf is a person who is transformed voluntarily or involuntarily into a wolf upon the occasion of a full moon. Now, the word werewolf is a contraction of the Saxon word were, meaning man, and wolf. Another word, lycanthrope, is used to describe werewolves, but that word actually refers to someone who suffers from the mental illness of fantasizing being a wolf. The legend originated from the countryside around the German towns of Cologne and Bedburg in 1591. Now, at that time, most people were uneducated and superstitious, and many towns were located near forest. There was a constant fear of wolves, not only from killing livestock, but also from killing humans. There is an ancient pamphlet that describes a particularly horrifying moment during this time. It seems that some residents from those two towns cornered a wolf one night, attacked it, and set their dogs upon it. But instead of running, the wolf transformed into a man. This man was from one of the villages. His name was Peter Stubb. This man was strapped to a torture wheel and made to confess to 16 very horrible murders. He had committed these crimes as a wolf because he had given himself over to sorcery and devil worship. Stubb was tortured and finally executed in equally horrifying ways, which I won't really go into right now. And that is the legendary beginning of werewolves. Now, most of you are probably aware that the legend of a werewolf or a similar creature has roamed this area of Dickson County for many years. Perhaps you even know people who claim to have seen it. Well, tonight we'll talk to some of those people. Here now is our investigation into the legend of Werewolf Springs.
The following is an important safety alert for the local viewing area of Dickson's cable network. An investigative team has been dispatched to the area to follow up on concerns from local residents about a rash of paranormal activity. This highly trained team of researchers has been sent from a compound known as the facility. To ease the investigation, we need you to know who we are and exactly why we're here. We wish to keep you informed of our efforts as well as the dangers presented by any encounter with this paranormal activity. From time to time, evidence accumulated by our research will be made available for public viewing on this channel. Immediately following this presentation, our first file, DEI case number 13609, The Hunt for the White Screamer, will be released for public viewing.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nathan Swain, Chief Paranormal Investigator for a research study stationed in your community. We appreciate your interest in our operation and are here for your protection. As you may well be aware, this area is documented for its paranormal activity. Haunted houses and woods are not at all uncommon in this area. Specific instances have been noted, such as the White Screamer, the Lantern Man, Werewolf Springs, and even localized instances of vampirism have been suspected. In an effort to understand the problem and make this area safer, we have been sent to follow up on your concerns. Knowledge is your best weapon against these dark forces, so we will keep you updated on this program. We also want you to know who we are. We are a team of 7 specialists from all over the country, each uniquely qualified in his field. We have audio technicians and specialists in EVPs, that's electronic voice phenomena, camera operators, and video data analysts. We have on staff an electromagnetic frequency modulation analyst as well. He goes with us on every field test. A very experienced field psychic also works on our staff and travels with us. Our field paranormalist is none other than the well-known Miss Luna Divine. She has been invaluable in our efforts. And finally, I'm Dr. Nathan Swain. I coordinate this study and head up the team. I have 12 years with the DEI and look forward to digging up many of Dickson's dark secrets and exposing them to you in an effort to better understand these unusual circumstances. And now, we want you to see our first investigation. Arm yourself with the knowledge gained from it. Watch closely, because you could be the next person in this community to experience a dark encounter. There you have it. 4 of our most challenging cases, some with a solid solution, others which will likely remain a mystery for all time. All, we hope, have kept you entertained. For comments on this program or on any of our cases, you can contact us at dei@ourcenter.org or visit our website at www.dei-tv. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Nathan Swain with Dark Encounters Investigated. Remember, in the world of the paranormal and supernatural, knowledge is your best weapon. Stay informed.
When you take reality TV, combine it with the real feel of cops, and add a ghost story, what you get is Dark Encounters Investigated. Shot in a micro-budget, off-the-shoulder style, DEI chronicles the suspenseful adventures of a diverse team of paranormal investigators. Each program follows the team into the shadowlands of the supernatural as they look for the truth behind dark legends, apparitions, ghosts, and the unknown. DEI is designed to be a fun roller coaster of entertainment. The program follows.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nathan Swain, Chief Paranormal Investigator for a research study stationed in your community. We appreciate your interest in our operation and are here for your protection. As you may well be aware, this area is documented for its paranormal activity. Haunted houses and woods are not at all uncommon in this area. Specific instances have been noted, such as the White Screamer, the Lantern Man, Werewolf Springs, and even localized instances of vampirism have been suspected. In an effort to understand the problem and make this area safer, we have been sent to follow up on your concerns. Knowledge is your best weapon against these dark forces, so we will keep you updated on this program. We also want you to know who we are. We are a team of 7 specialists from all over the country, each uniquely qualified in his field. We have audio technicians and specialists in EVPs, that's electronic voice phenomena, camera operators, and video data analysts. We have on staff an electromagnetic frequency modulation analyst as well. He goes with us on every field test. A very experienced field psychic also works on our staff and travels with us. Our field paranormalist is none other than the well-known Miss Luna Divine. She has been invaluable in our efforts. And finally, I'm Dr. Nathan Swain. I coordinate this study and head up the team. I have 12 years with the DEI and look forward to digging up many of Dixon's dark secrets and exposing them to you in an effort to better understand these unusual circumstances. And now, we want you to see our first investigation. Arm yourself with the knowledge gained from it. Watch closely, because you could be the next person in this community to experience a dark encounter. You're looking at images of what some claim to be ghosts. Spirits that refuse to be buried with the bodies they once inhabited. Spirits that are restless. The question is, are they real? There are many legends and folklore to be found along the Dixon countryside. Most believe them to be myths, and yet many back roads and woods will be strangely deserted after sunset. Many of these tales have perished with time. We have come to investigate the ones that linger. Stories that are resurrected time and time again at campfires, stormy nights, and high school sleepovers. If you live in the area, you've probably heard them yourself. Is there any truth to these stories? That's why we're here. I'm Nathan Swain, paranormal investigator, and I'm here with our psychic research team to look into the most notable of these occurrences and deliver to you our mystifying findings. So join us if you dare. The truth is often stranger and more frightening than fiction. Our search begins here on Shady Creek Road, a lonely, isolated road in northern Dixon County, a road that doesn't even appear on area maps. But that made it the perfect place for a young couple to take a private stroll. Apparently, that also made it the perfect place for something else to move down this road. Something that might not have been human. What the young couple encountered might have been a fearsome specter known for years through local folklore as the White Screamer. Right now, behind me, our psychic research team is preparing to follow the same footsteps at the same hour, the exact path of that unfortunate encounter. With sophisticated and sensitive equipment, we plan to track and record any paranormal activity. What human senses cannot perceive, our equipment may record. But first, we'll give you a brief history of the apparition known as the White Screamer.
Paranormal activity has been running rampant in Dickson County since before recorded history. Back in the early 1850s, there were reports of white apparitions, ghosts. Some reports, folklore mainly, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And the first recorded report was in 1933. A police report indicated that a sheriff's deputy had stopped alongside the road. There was a deer that had been hit, and he was pulling the deer off the road when this white apparition came out screaming and hollering, looked like smoke, according to the report. A lot of smoke, moving fast, screaming and hollering, wild noises. It scared the police deputy so bad he pulled out his service revolver and fired 2 shots, and at which time the apparition disappeared. It was gone.
From what I can understand, the White Screamer seems to be either a banshee or an apparition. And the difference between the two is that an apparition can be either the afterlife manifestation of a person or a thing. And a banshee is from Irish folklore, and that Irish folklore says that people within a given family are haunted by a wailing female ghost-like form, which in turn foretells the death of whomever sees that form, and it tells the death of that particular family member. And since the White Screamer seems to be more of a local Dickson County kind of apparition, I think that she's more of an apparition. And I say she simply because of the descriptions of the long hair, the flowing gowns, and for that reason I think that it's a she.
There was a newspaper report in 1950 of a local farmer working the field late at night. And again, a white apparition, a ghost, came out, screams and hollers and moans, and went by the tractor, didn't bother to hurt the man or anything. He wasn't afraid, but it just hollered and screamed and went by the tractor and just disappeared off in the distance.
There's a difference between a banshee and a wraith as well. A wraith tends to be the manifestation of yourself. When you see yourself, and when you see yourself in a ghostly form, then that tells you that you're going to die. So if it's a wraith, you would think that you're seeing yourself, but the banshee doesn't seem to be that. It seems to be a completely different persona altogether, so it can't be a reflection of you. And again, a wraith is not like a ghost either. The most common thing that you can associate a wraith with would be a doppelganger. And again, they're separate entities where the doppelganger tends to be more mischievous and tends to get you in trouble.
And as of about 2 months ago, there was 2 young people walking in a country road, and there was a sighting of a white apparition that came up to them. And again, they described it as smoke. It looked like smoke, but there was a head of a woman, long hair. And they scared them to death, and they took off running down a path in the field, off the road. They called the police. The police came out, and there was no evidence that anything was there.
After a brief search, we've managed to locate the couple referred to by Mr. Clark. The young lady declined to speak with us on camera, but the young man spoke freely, and his story was fascinating.
Well, me and my girlfriend were walking down Shady Creek Road one night, and the sun had already gone down, and we were, just talking about some stuff, and few minutes after we got into a conversation, we heard this noise out a distance away. It sounded like some sort of wounded animal or something off the Discovery Channel. And my girlfriend was getting a little scared. I kind of laughed at her and just saying it's probably a wounded animal or something. But we got down the road a little bit further, and then we heard it again, and it sounded a lot closer this time. And when it made that noise again, it did sound like a wounded animal. It had more of a screeching metal type sound, like semi-breaks with some, I don't know, it was just weird, and it was loud. We kind of got nervous and picked up our pace a little bit, and that's when we heard a scream real loud. Suddenly it came out of the woods at us, and we panicked. We were screaming, and I finally got a chance to look at it after it had whirled around us quite a few times. It was whirling around us fast, kind of surrounded us, but I finally got a good look at it, and its face was real weird. It resembled a woman, but as if you were going through a tunnel. Its face was pulled back real hard. Couldn't quite make out exactly what was going on with it.
It is now fast approaching the exact moment when Will was attacked by the white screamer. We're nearing the exact location. Our equipment is on and recording. Are we getting anything? Well, let's keep going.
It's rolling. Oh God, wait. Picked up on something, got a movement.
We are now at the exact place where Will and his friend were attacked. But so far, we're not reading anything out of the ordinary. The instruments continue to function properly. We continue to record.
I do have some movement. Definitely have some movement out there. Keep up, guys. I've got some fatigue.
Just a moment ago, we recorded some very strong electromagnetic fluctuations, as well as what sounded like a scream coming from just over that rise there. Well, all we can do now is continue to record. What's it at now?
Fast, get closer.
There you go.
Hit the car.
What's going on? What do we got here? Let's check inventory and see what we're missing.
Somebody's just...
Yeah, you're right. Somebody's messing with it.
The truck okay?
Yeah, it looks all right. Somebody's been through all our stuff. To our amazement, other than rattled nerves, neither ourselves nor our equipment were damaged. After a brief inventory check, we returned here to our facility to analyze the data and discovered something that we think you should see. One of the camera operators set down his camera as he approached the truck to assist with cleanup. The camera was left rolling and shows something strange in front of the driver's side headlamp of the truck. No one in the crew saw or felt anything strange at the time, but the video speaks for itself. We leave the conclusions to you, and will now play for you this controversial portion of videotape exactly as it was recorded and without enhancement. You decide what you are watching.
Stop! Don't stop.
To most passers-by, this is just an abandoned house on a small street in a quiet country town. But for someone that claims to be able to see beyond the physical world, this house could be the home of some very dark secrets. I'm Dr. Nathan Swain, paranormal investigator with Dark Encounters Investigated. A strange phone call, bizarre coincidences have all led us here to this house. In just a moment, Dark Encounters Investigated will take you inside the house in the company of a clairvoyant who claims to have been drawn here by strange visions. Stay with us for what promises to be the strangest, most bizarre DEI case we have yet to encounter. Dark Encounters Investigated begins now.
Somewhere out there are worlds other than ours. Worlds of the paranormal and supernatural, where the laws of flesh and blood do not apply. There are times when the thin barrier separating that world from ours is shattered by events and entities too powerful to be contained. And when that happens, a team of paranormal investigators look for answers to those strange and mysterious dark encounters.
Some people say the spirit world and physical world are like two rooms in the same house, each existing side by side, but with the residents often unaware of what is happening on the other side of the wall. There are some individuals who claim to be doorways between these rooms. One such person contacted our DEI office a few months ago. DEI agents Bev Shepard and Jake Manley took the call from a woman named Michelle Long, a woman who claimed to have clairvoyant abilities since childhood, a woman with recent haunting dreams that refused to go away.
I started having dreams several months ago about a particular home. And in the dream, it's quite disturbing. I kind of shook it off. I didn't realize what was going on, and the dream continued to happen over and over. I'd wake up several times during the night, wasn't getting enough rest. And so finally I came to terms with, this is something I've got to deal with. I've got to take care of this or I'm not going to be left alone. And I had no idea where the home was, what its present state was, because this was affecting me, the dream was in the early 20s. So I wasn't sure what the home would look like now, even if it even existed now. And I had done some phone calls and couldn't find out anything, and just happened to be driving around Dixon one day and looked up and saw it, and I said, oh my gosh, that's it, that's got to be the house.
When you're speaking about a psychic or a clairvoyant or medium, the common thread is that these are all extrasensory perceptive gifts. The differences are that psychics seem to be individuals who are able to respond to psychic forces. They're able to react to psychic environments. The clairvoyant, as is the case with Michelle Long, the clairvoyant is someone who has the power to perceive, to sense things naturally, things that are beyond our senses. For instance, they are able to sense what we perceive as a ghost or a spirit. They're able to sense that presence, and we're not.
There was something disturbing about a well on the property. And in my dream, I could see that it was a rock-type well made out of stones, heavy stones. And I want to say a fruit cellar there. I'm not sure if it's a cellar or what it is. And some activities in the house that had gone on during the years when it was erected. I saw a man digging a pond, a small fish pond. I assume it was a fish pond. It was heart-shaped, and he'd put concrete in this fish pond. And I witnessed a small child drowned in that pond in my dream, and that was disturbing enough just to witness that. And I won't know until I further investigate the home what my reasons are to go there, what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, look, guys, what do we know about this woman?
We know that she's local.
Yes.
So
she's been a Dixon resident for years.
Well, I mean, and that may be all we know. I don't doubt her sincerity at all, not the slightest. But I know we have to have more to go on than that.
Yeah.
If we jumped into something every time somebody was sincere, we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Right. It sounds to me like we need some more information. The meeting was interrupted by an alarming call from DEI agent Bev Shepard. The house on High Street was to be burned as an exercise by the local firefighting department. The clock was ticking. We had to move fast.
That's bad. The house is slated for a test burn.
That's great. That's great.
Well, look, guys, we just got to move fast on this, all right? We can't waste any time, and, you know, just everybody stick to it and do their jobs, all right? Let's go.
Okay, thank you. We got it. Thank you.
While Bev and Luna tracked past owners of the house, I went to the house itself. As Jake and JC looked for neighborhood residents who might know about any tragedies there.
I'm not talking about that house. There's a house on it, so there's a house. So this.
Yeah, she sure did. That's the heart-shaped, yeah, that's the heart-shaped pond. Here, it keeps going around this way.
Askins, right here. This one says, Mary.
Oh yeah, this is it. We're in the fruit cellar right here. Well, this part of her story definitely checks out. There's the well right there. Yep, I sure do. That's going to take some equipment that we don't have right now. We've got a lot of work to do, but right now this case has got some merit to it. That's the purpose of coming out today, was just to see if there was anything we could make out of this, and I think that we have. So what are we talking about?
Well, for one thing, we're talking about some heavy-duty stuff, you know, cutting through a floor, for one thing.
Maybe knocking a wall out. That's pretty.
That, uncapping the well, and all that stuff that we're not usually equipped to do.
We need to get somebody in from the outside that can help us make this happen.
Well,
who can we call?
Is in town.
Perfect choice.
Sledge, well.
Sledge.
I mean, the guy has an attitude, and sometimes he's just plain dangerous, so I'd be careful.
Jakey does good work.
Yeah.
You need to keep it in check while Sledge is on the scene. We'll be fine. We'll all be careful.
Okay.
All right.
Wherever
Let's
you
go.
say.
In my dream, the well has definitely a major role in this dream for some reason. I'm not sure if the well is calling me because a tragedy occurred in the well, around the well, or that something was placed in this well. And maybe this well has been covered, hidden somewhere, but I'm definitely being drawn to it specifically.
The apparent sincerity of Michelle Long and the incredible coincidences of what she said and what we found raised many questions. Was she receiving messages from beyond this world? A voice describing the house and tragic things that happened in it? And was there something in the house or well calling out to Miss Long? There was only one way for the DEI team to find out. Ready to go? How you feel?
I want to experience it as I experienced it in the dream, not in its present state. I want to go in completely blindfolded. And the reason that I like to be blindfolded is the fact I don't want to be distracted. If I go in without the blindfold on, I will see it in its present state. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to feel my way through the house. I want to see it the way I saw it in a dream.
Okay, why don't you hold my arm? There we go. Jake, you want to hold her on the other side, just on these steps here. Be careful. Here comes the first step. There you go. Second step's right in front of it. Okay, about 5 paces to the door. And we're going in the front door. There's the door jamb. And we're inside the first room.
Oh. Take me to the center of the room, please.
Okay, about 3 paces ahead.
It was very odd, the feeling that we had when we walked in the house. It was very cold, there's a certain eeriness about the house itself and the atmosphere in it. The house itself was pretty much in shambles. It was falling down.
Something's happened in this room. The room that we were just in, I picked up a birth and a death. There's been a death in this room.
I have to say, I usually rely on technical hardware for these kind of things. But I didn't have that with me at this particular visit, and I have to say that there was something going on. That even though I'm a tech head, I do rely on instinct, and in this case, there was something there. I felt something there. That sounds weird to say, sounds unscientific to say, but nevertheless, I have to be true to what I felt.
Watch your steps, they're very unsturdy.
There was a light that I saw my vision hanging from the center. Glass, crystal glass, beveled, kind of pointed. Who touched me on the shoulder? Did someone touch me on the shoulder?
No, I don't think so.
I feel something, and it's behind me. I have to go back. My hair is standing up on my neck as I enter this area. There's something here, or something's been here. There's the well. Need that floor up. There's something there.
We're ready to do that. What do you say, Sledge?
All right, how are you?
All right, thanks for coming.
Oh, Sledge is a lifesaver.
Got some good work
I
for
mean,
you.
all our specialists are really good, but I think we're very lucky to have Sledge in town on this one because he comes in and he can analyze the situation quickly, and I mean, he'll take down whatever the obstacles are. He can really handle a crisis, and move it on for us, and it frees us up to really be able to do our jobs.
Sledge, what can you see in there? Water.
I just have this feeling that there's something that needs to be found. There's a message, and I'm not sure if it's something hidden, something destroyed, something that maybe someone is wanting to find out, or a person who has passed on trying to reach out.
To search the well, Sledge called in a former government agent known to us only as Mr. X. He would use a special zero-light underwater camera he had developed. It might reveal dark secrets hidden from us in the watery depths. A light stick or the device that provide light down beneath the water. I guess that'll be the next step if we really can't see anything conclusive here.
Take it a little slower.
That'll be the next step if we really can't see anything conclusive here.
Stop.
Well,
Tell them to stop. What is that?
Structure of some kind.
pull back just a bit. Can you spin it a little?
You need to talk louder. Be here.
We're coming in.
Yeah.
What in the world?
That's, again, some kind of metal structure.
It looks like pipes.
Yeah. Uh-oh, we're about to hit bottom.
No, it goes on further down.
Yeah, but that's we're bumping up against the...
You're about to hit bottom, or hit something.
There's something there, but that's not bottom.
It's like we're getting hung up. That's the pecan tree roots. Oh, wow, you know. Our search of the well was halted by thick roots that threatened to snag the camera. We would have to try another approach. It's now significantly later in the evening. We spent a good deal of time going through the house. We've had several revelations as well as several confirmations for the things that Nichelle has told us. She's asked us to indulge her one more time. She's asked us to enter the house with special night vision cameras with no other artificial light sources. She's asked us to take up a position inside the house and spend several minutes there in the darkness with her to see what happens.
Oh, that scared me. Something touched my head.
Watch closely. At times there appear to be odd blurs of light. You might even witness something we missed.
Don't move. I'm picking up an image right there. It's following. It's right with me. Whatever it is, it's following with me. Stop. I'm getting something right now. Right in front of me. Oh my God. Do you not hear a child laughing? No. Sandra, can you not hear anything?
There's still something behind you?
Yeah. It's getting closer, whatever it is. I feel, oh.
There appeared to be some paranormal activity, but we had yet to discover any kind of physical evidence.
This is it. I need this dug up. This is, I believe this is where the pond was. It was heart-shaped, but a lot of the dirt's over it. This is it, I know it. It was filled with water. And I envisioned this child falling and drowning in this. It was about knee deep. It was an accident. Guys, give me a minute. The child's name was Jacob.
And from there, we just don't know what we're going to find, but we really need to get inside that well. With the house scheduled to be burned soon, our investigation had time for one last attempt. Days later, Sledge and the DEI team pumped the water from the well.
Got the water out of the well. Took about 15 minutes. That's it. We can see the bottom of it.
For the first time since it was dug decades ago, the well was dry. Now it was time to enter. But whatever dark secret, if any, was inside the well, it remained unseen. A body calling to be found, an item a spirit wanted to be retrieved. They remained a mystery. At the request of the property owner and for the safety of curious paranormal enthusiasts, the well was filled and covered, its secrets apparently buried forever.
When the DEI team goes into an investigation, we leave no stone unturned. And that's how we approach this. But there comes a point when you have to call it. And we went as far as we felt we could go, and we had to call it. And there are some questions that, in all cases, but particularly in this one, are left unanswered.
I think the nature of our business as Dark Encounter investigators, I think the nature of the business is that we will not ever have all the answers, which is also what drives us to continue to investigate.
Oh, it's very hard to walk away from an investigation like this because we felt like we were getting very close. There were times when you could just feel the electricity in the air. And it's always a disappointment to have to leave it unresolved the way it was.
This is just one that we have to put on the shelf and close the cover. It's going to rest as it is.
There was so much mud at the bottom. I still feel that there was something there, but it wasn't meant to be found, or it would have been found. I think it was meant to be closed, covered, and well protected. That is a secret that will never be discovered. It will never be found, and I'm content with that. I feel at peace with that. But as far as the house and the grounds that the house sits on, now those are mysteries that are yet to be solved. There is imminent danger at this property and at this house. There's secrets there that are waiting to be found, and I do not feel at peace with the house or the property. There's more to be found.
Even with the most thorough investigation, the paranormal world does not yield its secrets easily. For many, this simple house is as much an enigma now as when we began. For clairvoyant Michelle Long, it could be that she did what she believes she was called to do: conceal a secret forever. But after our investigation, we did make a discovery on a piece of videotape. Listen closely. Under my voice, you'll hear another voice, almost a whisper, that didn't come from any of the DEI team and was not inserted later. Here it is. You know, we've got a lot of work to do, but right now this case has got some merit to it. That's the purpose of coming out today, was just to listen again. Now this case has got some merit to it. That's the purpose of coming out today. It appears to be electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP, a voice that we didn't hear at the time. Perhaps a whispered message from something unseen, but very much present with us. Another mystery from the whispering well beneath the house on High Street. I'm Dr. Nathan Swain of Dark Encounters Investigated. Thank you for joining us. If you have noticed any recorded phenomena in this program that we may have missed, please contact us. And remember, In the world of the paranormal and supernatural, knowledge is your best weapon. Stay informed.
Thank you.